some city lights where the real talk begins. Got something on my mind that the government just spins. Yeah, they telling simple stories about some aircraft in the blue, but me and my kinfolk, we know that ain't the truth. Cause they hiding mothership magic in them hangar bays underneath that Nevada desert haze. Yeah, they got them great folks at Area 51. Yeah, they got them great folks at Area 51.
In September 2019, police arrested 2 Dutch tourists deep in the Nevada desert. They had a car full of drones and camera equipment, and they were looking for aliens. Their arrest was just a small part of a massive viral phenomenon known as Storm Area 51. Millions of people RSVP'd to a joke Facebook event threatening to raid the base, which eventually morphed into an actual desert festival. This global fixation on Groom Lake is a byproduct of decades of extreme government secrecy. When a government creates a perfect vacuum, erasing a physical location from the public record and choking off all information, the human imagination inevitably rushes in to fill that void with mythology. This map shows the exact geographical location of Area 51, officially known as Homey Airport or Groom Lake. It sits on a desolate salt flat exactly 83 miles north-northwest of Las Vegas. Notice the rigid borders of the restricted airspace above it, known as the Groom Box. On the ground, the perimeter is guarded by buried motion sensors and anonymous patrols in white pickup trucks, commonly called camo dudes. This intense isolation was engineered for clandestine operations. Clandestine refers to intelligence actions that are specifically designed to be kept entirely secret. The CIA needed a completely hidden sandbox to test highly experimental aircraft. By quarantining this patch of desert from the public eye and the historical record, the intelligence community accidentally laid the groundwork for the most resilient conspiracy theory in modern history. In the late 1950s, the Cold War was escalating, and the CIA urgently needed a new reconnaissance aircraft capable of outrunning Soviet air defenses. The result was Project Oxcart and its crown jewel, the A-12. This plane was built to reach sustained speeds of Mach 3.29, nearly 2,500 miles per hour, at an altitude of 90,000 feet. To meet those extreme specifications, Lockheed engineers gave the A-12 an unconventional appearance. It featured a wide, flattened titanium fuselage designed to hold vast quantities of specialized jet fuel. This is a chart showing civilian flight paths compared to the A-12 ceiling. At dusk, the setting sun would stripe the A-12's titanium belly, while the world 70,000 feet below was already in shadow. From the perspective of the civilian pilots, this blinding metallic shape darting across the stratosphere at 2,000 miles per hour looked exactly like a fiery flying saucer. The aircraft was so far ahead of its time that observers simply could not reconcile what they saw with terrestrial technology. These sightings caused a massive influx of UFO reports to flood into the Air Force's investigative unit, Project Blue Book. Meanwhile, the CIA began cross-referencing those civilian reports with the classified flight logs of the A-12 and the earlier U-2 spy plane. They quickly realized their own pilots were the supposed aliens. The intelligence community recognized that the alien myth was highly beneficial to their secrecy, providing the perfect cover. A cover is a false identity or explanation used to conceal one's true actions and intentions. They practiced disinformation by omission. Because they could not legally tell the public the truth about their advanced spy planes, they simply allowed the extraterrestrial conspiracy to grow and dominate the narrative. Extraterrestrial paranoia evolved into a psychological shield, hiding America's most vital national security assets in plain sight. The information vacuum created for the A-12 worked incredibly well. Area 51 soon became the permanent testing ground for decades of other black projects, including captured Soviet MiG fighters and the high-speed D-21 drone. In the late 1970s and 80s, the facility hosted the development of the F-117 Nighthawk. Its jagged, facet stealth geometry was tested in total darkness, and if spotted, it easily passed for an otherworldly craft. The government defended this vacuum ruthlessly. At one point, President Bill Clinton even issued a formal exemption to block environmental lawsuits regarding toxic burn pits at Groom Lake, overriding transparency laws to maintain absolute secrecy. The harder the government worked to seal the black box from legal and public scrutiny, the more aggressively the public projected dark science fiction fantasies onto it. By the late 1980s, figures like Bob Lazar began making public claims that they had worked on reverse engineering captured alien spacecraft in underground facilities near Groom Lake. This intense, classified isolation eventually spilled over into the local economy, spawning a massive civilian industry of alien tourism just outside the base's borders. A facility designed to be invisible ended up as the most famous, heavily scrutinized military installation on Earth. While the A-12 was retired in 1968 due to the rise of corona imaging satellites, the need for deep black atmospheric spycraft never vanished. Today, military leaders like Air Force Secretary Frank Kendall have hinted at the existence of new, highly classified ISR platforms. ISR stands for Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance, a category of assets used to gather information on enemy forces. These cutting-edge drones are likely being tested right now, utilizing the exact same airspace and information vacuum pioneered by the Oxcart program. As long as human engineers continue to push the absolute limits of aviation physics behind restricted airspace, the skies over the Nevada desert will always be filled with aliens.